lot of requests from vegetarians and people maybe just wanting to eat a little healthier to have even more vegetarian dishes. I'm going to show you a black bean cake, and this has a Southwestern twist to it. You can serve it with a little salsa and sour cream. Wait till you try these. These are delicious little accompaniments, and they will wow your guests or your family members, whoever you decide to cook for. So you just relax, sit back, and watch the show. Well, here we go, starting the prep for the black bean cakes. The first thing I have are the black beans, which you can either soak your beans, the dried ones, first, and then go ahead and boil them off, drain them, cool them, or you can use the canned and just rinse them good, drain them, and then we're going to put those into this bowl. We're going to mash them a little bit. Now, I don't have a masher. If you have a potato masher, that's what we need. But we're going to use a whisk, which is what I've always used. We'll see how good it does. We can always resort to my hands, or another thing I could use is the food processor. But we don't want to overdo it. All right, the whisk worked just fine. It's just a little whisk. And you don't want him to be totally smooth. You want to be able to see some of the beans. So you can leave it whole. So you just partially mash it. And I just want to go ahead and chop this up. So I always like to chop strips and then turn it like that. And then chop again. And that takes care of most of the chopping. And then I take my knife and I drag it over the garlic. And that mashes it for me, so I have it nice and fine. Next, we're going to put in some fresh salsa, which I will give you a link to get to my salsa recipe. Put a little of that in. And then we're going to add some green onions. So we want to slice the green onions nice and thin. And you notice I start with the green end. I generally don't use a lot of the white. I mean, you can, but the biggest reason I like to use green onions is for the color, but also for the subtle onion flavor that you get. Generally, green onions do not make you cry. They can. I've cried before with them, but generally they don't. We're going to do some zest of lime and some of the juice, and I like to roll it a little bit first. It breaks up the membranes. So we'll go ahead and get a little zest first. Zest is such a great thing to cook with. And we are going to use some juice too. A nice juicy one, which is always good. Alright, and then a red bell pepper. I'll show you how I prepare it. I cut it this way. I just cut it right in half, almost all the way. And then I open it up. And this side, you can see there's no seeds. Here's all the seeds. So now we want to carefully take that out so we don't have seeds everywhere. So we're going to cut it into strips. We don't need too much. Now, the finer you want it, the thinner you cut the strips. This is a great color item, so we're going to use a little bit more. Not enough to make it color, make it a beautiful color. Now, in the meantime, I'm heating up my griddle, which is what I'm going to use. You can use a saute pan too. Just make sure it's a large enough skillet and heavy bottomed. Do not use a thin aluminum pan. You will burn your cakes and any other food you try and cook in it. So get rid of it. Buy yourself a good pan. And then we're going to need a little bit of jalapeno. Now, there is jalapeno in the salsa. So if you don't like it hot, maybe just go with it as it is. I'm going to add a little more. And I generally leave the seeds in too. but there wasn't too many seeds in this piece I cut off. And as you can see, strips, turn, dice. Now be careful with jalapeno. If you want to use gloves, please do. But make sure you wash your hands afterwards if you don't use gloves. Wash them good. And any utensils too, like your knife, your scraper, your cutting board, wash it all. Next, going to chop up a little cilantro. And I usually just kind of bunch it up and just slice off what I need. And then I put the rest back in the bag. Alright, so I'm going to add a few more things to the beans. I'm going to add some fresh chopped tomatoes, a little cumin. Mix that in. And then some egg. And crushed corn tortilla chips. These are what help make it delicious. Give it a little crunch. Better than cornmeal. Cornmeal dries it out way too much. But these still act as a binding agent. I'll add them all. Alright, so into the warm pan, a little olive oil. Or you could use canola oil too. And you want enough so that this will brown. So it's kind of hard to tell when black beans brown, but you still can tell. So you want to just shape them and do whatever size you'd like. You could serve these as an appetizer. They're a great accompaniment in a vegetarian meal. It's your protein. So I just turned the cakes over, and now I'm going to put a little bit of the cheese on top. Looks like I'm making cheeseburgers. You know, honestly, you could do that. You could have a bun and, you know, make these a little bit larger or get smaller buns. And these could be your black bean burger cakes or whatever, black bean burgers. Now, you can put a lid on top of this, and that will help. It'll help it to melt and cook a little underneath. Just make sure the lid doesn't touch the cheese. And I have it on medium heat. Now here's a tip. If you want something to melt and it's taking too long, then put just a little water in. Just a little so it steams. And that helps. And I didn't put very much in. Might need to add a little bit more. You don't want to get your product soggy, but there we go. That should be enough. See how nice they're melting? So, for all you vegetarians, healthy people, or just somebody that wants to have a little bit of a change, and these would be delicious. Serve them with a little salsa and guacamole or sour cream, whichever. Anyway, thanks again for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really makes a difference. Thanks, everybody. Happy cooking.